I'm Paul Prins. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Freshfine, and we do membership software for nonprofit communities, so helping them understand who's involved and engaged and just what's happening. So, why Freshfine? It's just something that is really overlooked. So when you look at the amazing number of software companies and products and tools that exist, very few of them have been built purposely for the nonprofit sector, even though the nonprofits make up a huge percentage of jobs, of entities on a statewide and global level. In the US, there's, depending on how you cut it, because not everybody has to register, there's a couple million nonprofit organizations that do everything from really small things, it's an after-school tutoring program, to really large things, to citywide food programs, to medical research, to whatever. But for us, we looked at that and we were like, wow, there's fantastic tools for the commercial space. So if you run a coffee shop, you run a store that sells physical goods, there's great things that you can use to take care of that and help you. The problem is that those tools didn't exist for nonprofits because the money wasn't there, right? Like I could charge a coffee shop thousands of dollars a month for something that a nonprofit just can't afford. So they end up with a lot of home-built, kind of scrappy tools that get the job done, but can leave a lot to be desired. And so we saw that need, and we realized that with design backgrounds, programming backgrounds, backgrounds in nonprofit management, and I'm also a pastor, so I have that religious component. For all religious organizations are also nonprofits. It just made sense that we were kind of the right people for it. Yeah, so it is a little weird that I have this pastoral background, and most people who are of the cloth, I guess, don't have a super technical background. That's not the stereotype that people have. But for me, I actually started my first software company when I was 14, 15 years old. I was one of those bored kids, and I was fortunate enough that my parents had a computer. And I started putzing around and realized that you could make websites. Back when I was in 7th, 8th grade, I was like, this is crazy. Like, I can change this line of text, and then when I reload my browser, it says something different, or it's a different picture, or that link goes over there now instead of over here. It was really cool. And so I started my first website about something I was passionate about. At the time, it was freestyle skiing. And so did that for about 6-7 years. I think I officially launched it in 1998. And then I closed it and sold it in 2006, I believe. So instead of just one, I'd say there's two biggest challenges we face. The first one is just the bootstrapping nature of it. So because we're focused on the nonprofit side, I decided early on that I didn't want to pursue outside investment. That puts you on a track to either be acquired or have an IPO. Right, those investors want to get money back out, and that's the only way they can do that. And focusing explicitly on the nonprofit space, I was just skeptical that there was going to be enough interest on either the acquisition side, so what company is going to buy us, or that we would get to a size that would make sense to have an IPO and be a publicly traded company. And I have other issues with what being publicly traded does to business goals, and everything's 3-month windows because you need to hit your quarterly goals, which in a technology space can be really difficult. You can see that with Apple, right? They announced products in one quarter so they could start pre-orders so they could boost their revenue before it actually is ready to ship in the next quarter. That's not a mistake. They did that because they needed to please their investors, even though internally they maybe wouldn't have wanted to do that. Yeah, so that's been a challenge, is going years, where at the end of the month you're hoping there's enough money in the bank account for the business that you can pay yourself and then pay your bills. Stressful, to say the least. And I'm just starting to get out of that. The other part that's been really challenging is understanding who to take advice from. Everybody wants to tell you something, but almost nobody knows what the hell they're doing. They just don't. They have no clue. And so they repeat stuff they heard in a book, or they repeat something they heard on Shark Tank or from some like Silicon Valley person. And the challenge is that it's so different and it's so contextual to what you're doing. So the way that you sell a t-shirt on the internet is different than the way you sell membership software on the internet. And membership software is different than the way you sell scheduling software, which is different than the way you sell photo editing software. They're all different and they all have their own challenges. And then that's been a challenge, is to kind of quiet those external voices and listen more to my gut and to my intuition that grew my first company into something meaningful, but it's growing this into something meaningful.